After a few thousand miles over the last couple of seasons, my Fairdale gravel bike has seen it all. Endless miles on dusty back roads, long days in the saddle, and of course, a few questionable line choices. After all my adventures on this bike, it's still a fun and smooth ride, but in today's video, we're gonna make it even better. We're gonna start by cleaning this thing all up, tearing it all down, and then building it back up while upgrading for comfort, adding some tech, and getting it prepped for the good times ahead. We're gonna start this thing off by giving the Fairdale a well-deserved bath to remove some of that winter dirt and grime before we head inside and talk about some of the upgrades we're going to be making. While the bike's outside dripping dry, let's talk about a couple of the upgrades we're gonna make to the bike for this upcoming season. First on the list is this pair of flared drop bars. These bars have way more flare on the drops than the current stock ones, and I'm really looking forward to getting these on the bikes, especially for those long rides on rough terrain. The flare is gonna add a little bit more stability and a lot more comfort. Next up is this brown leather Brooks saddle. I've never had a Brooks saddle on any of my bikes before, and I know they take a little bit of time to break in, but what I've heard from my friends is once they are broken in, the comfort is unrivaled. So I'm really looking forward to this, especially for those long days in the saddle. And for the biggest upgrade, we're going from a 1x11 to 1x12 thanks to the EDS GEX wireless derailleur. This means a wider gear range, which will make a big difference on the climbs, a cleaner cockpit, and we're going from cable actuated to hydraulic disc brakes, which is gonna make a big difference on the descents. The bike should be dry now, so let's grab it and go ahead and start breaking it down. You know that feeling when you realize you've been riding around with a loose bolt for weeks? No warning, no signs, just one hard landing or turn away from a potential disaster. Well, that's kind of like what's happening with your personal data right now. Recently, Bank of America announced a data breach, and here's the most messed up part. They didn't tell anybody for months, and they're not alone here. Last year, JP Morgan Chase and Citibank also got hit. On average, it takes companies 277 days to report a breach. That means your personal data could have been exposed for nearly a year before you even find out. And that's exactly why I use today's video sponsor, Aura. Aura scans the dark web for my personal information and it alerts me if it's out there. For example, if somebody tries to open an account in my name or mess with my credit, I know right away and not months later. And if the worst happens, Aura has up to $5 million in identity theft insurance to back me up. Look, companies take forever to tell you that you're at risk. With Aura, you'll know right now. Don't just take my word for it. Try it free for 14 days at aura.com/joyofbike. Because waiting to protect yourself, well, that's like installing security cameras after your house has already been robbed. Thank you so much to Aura for keeping my personal data safe and sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. I've gone ahead and got the drivetrain swap complete on this bike. We've got the wheel top GEX derailleur installed, and I went through the initial calibration, which was super straightforward. I've got the bike shifting from the lowest end to the highest end of the cassette and all the way back down without any issues. Definitely stoked about that. Wheeltop makes it pretty easy with their app once you understand the lingo inside of it. I actually have a little bit of experience with Wheeltop because I do have one of their wireless derailleurs on my mountain bike. I did a full review on it if you want to check it out up here. And I'm also doing a full review on this one once I get out and can start riding on it. But that brings us to the next stage of this build, which is going to be the brakes. So let's talk about that. In previous videos, I've talked about how I'm not a professional mechanic and I'm learning as I go. And on this build, it's really caught up with me. So I want to talk about what we're dealing with and how we're going to have to fix it. So we're going from the cable pull brakes that came stock on this bike to a hydraulic actuated brake. One thing that I didn't think about was how these brakes are mounted. So these cable pull brakes are mounted with what's called an IS standard, which is, I believe, International Standard Mounting System. These hydraulic brakes use what's called a flat mount, which is completely different. And unfortunately, since nobody in the area readily stocks that IS to flat mount adapter, I'm gonna have to wait a few days until it shows up in the mail so I can get this build finished and head out for its first joyride. Lucky for you, it's only gonna be a few seconds. See, I told you, only a few seconds. It was actually 3 days and I was waiting so patiently. I think we're back in business. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So here in this bag, I've got a couple of things, starting with our IS to flat mount adapter. These things were pretty tricky to find, but I was able to find a set of them on Amazon and they got here relatively quick. I haven't test mounted these on the bike just yet, but I'm hopeful that when we do that together, everything goes together really smoothly, just like I read, and we're able to get out there and enjoy a bike ride. The other thing that I had to order was a new rotor. So this bike came with 160 millimeter front and rear rotors. With these adapters, you do have to run a 180 millimeter rotor in the front because you can't put spacers on these. So again, fingers crossed that this all goes together smoothly because I really want to get out there and enjoy the sunshine. Well, I couldn't be any more stoked because those adapters seem to have worked out pretty flawlessly. Now, I haven't gotten the wheels on the bike yet to test everything out, but everything looks like it's in the correct position, so the stoke level is high. Now we're moving on to something that I've never done before, which is trimming these hydraulic brake lines, attaching them to the hoods, and then bleeding the system. I have bled brakes before, but not on hoods. I don't know how different it's gonna be, but we're gonna get into it and see if we can get it sorted. I'm hoping it should be pretty straightforward, but wish me luck. Got the brake lines installed and I just finished a lever bleed. The brakes are feeling really, really good. Now it's time to move on to one of my least favorite things to do with this style of bike, which is taping the bars. So I'm gonna wipe them down real quick with some alcohol just to make sure that the adhesive sticks really well and lasts a long time. I'm absolutely stoked with how this bike has come together. The pink bar tape with all the different pink accents and the brown leather seat on this green frame. It just looks really good in my opinion. So really looking forward to getting out on a ride on this thing. And now is the perfect time to do that because I actually have a coffee delivery across town to my friends over at Reeb Cycles. They have a bike shop here in Longmont called the Hoopty Lounge. They also have beer on tap over there. It's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon right now. So I don't think there's any better way to break this bike in than on a coffee delivery. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw my bags back on here. I'm gonna throw my shoes and helmet on. We're gonna head out the door and across town and see how this thing rides. All right, our maiden voyage is underway. Everything seems to be good so far. I was a little bit hesitant, not gonna lie, because I ran the bike through its paces in the stand, but I didn't ride it around outside to make sure it was shifting good. I just did a quick little shift test from the top of the bottom to the range, and it all seems to be good. So we're gonna hammer across town. I think it's like 4 miles. We're gonna see what this thing's all about. I'm pretty stoked. The brakes are working, so that's a positive as well. One of my favorite things about where the Traction Roastery is located is we're right on the bike path, so we can get anywhere around town pretty dang easily. Everything's off to a great start though, so enjoy this beautiful sunshiny day and bike ride with me. Let's go. Coffee is delivered. I enjoyed a nice cold adult multi-sports beverage, and now we're just gonna enjoy the ride back to the shop. All right, I thought I did a good enough bolt check, but nope, I did not tighten down the stem bolts for the handlebars enough, and I had some handlebar roll. I was like, man, I put these hoods in a really good spot, I thought, but they feel terrible. Nah, the bars rolled and it felt so bad and sketchy. I forgot to bring a tool with me, so I was able to like muscle them back into spot, but definitely a little scary. Glad I didn't like do a jump or anything, but we're heading back to the shop now and I'll catch up with you there. And we're back at the shop, and I've got to say I'm pretty dang impressed with how well this bike rode with minimal fine-tuning adjustments outside of my silly mistake of not tightening down the stem bolts. That was definitely a little scary, but otherwise it shifted incredible. The brakes worked great, and it just seems to be in really great form. I'm really looking forward to getting out on this bike with this current setup and hammering out some miles. And with that being said, I'm also going to be doing a full-length review on this Wheeltop GEX group set. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you stick around. I do have the Wheeltop EDS OX on my mountain bike. And to be honest with you, it's been on there for the better part of 8 months now, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been pretty dang bulletproof. So I kind of expected the same out of this here. I want to do my best to review these things as genuinely as possible so you can spend your money in the best way possible. But yeah, with all that being said, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this video, cruise down and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And while you're doing that, comment down below what kind of gravel bike you're riding, or if you don't have a gravel bike yet, let me know why. I was once a person who was so anti drop bar or gravel bike, and now after I've had this thing for going on 2 years now, this is one of the bikes that I reach for more than most of my others now. And there's a good reason for that. You can ride a bike like this on so many different types of terrains, whether it be single track, out on the open road, dusty dirt roads, whatever it may be. I love riding this on a pump track, jumping it. It's just such a good all-around bike. So if you are a drop bar or gravel bike denier, let me know down in the comments. And hopefully over the next few months, while we go out and do some of these gravel rides and I bring you along with us, maybe we can change your opinion on that. But I think that's where we're going to end things for the day. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and working on this bike, going for a little cruise. It was a whole lot of fun and I really appreciate you. And I can't even begin to tell you how much it means to me that you're a part of this community. I look forward to hanging out with you next time. Until then, stay rad.